All right, we are back here on the Just and the Suffering podcast, talking golf for the first time this year. The PGA Championship coming up this week at Southern Hills Country Club in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Joining me on the line today, our golf correspondent, he works with the PGA Tour, Dan DeMartini is here. Dan, how are you?
I'm doing great, Mike. Thanks for having me, and I'm glad to be back.
Absolutely. Before we dive into all this, I want to put a disclaimer out here for the audience. Obviously, there is stuff going on right now with this whole Saudi Tour situation. Dan obviously works for the PGA, so legally, we cannot discuss what's going on there in case there's pending litigation. But if you want information about what's going on here, there are plenty of outlets that have coverage of that. But Dan, I'm excited to see what's going on with the actual PGA here, especially because I haven't been to Southern Hills about 16 years?
It's been quite some time, and obviously everybody thinks about Tiger's win in 2007. But Southern Hills it's such, when you think about golf, kind of at large, and you think about the places that you get to play year round, and Tulsa, Oklahoma doesn't really come to mind as like the first place when you're like, man, I can't wait to play golf, right? So it's such a special treat, from a weather standpoint, from a course setup, to be able to see golf played in areas that are non-traditional. So everybody thinks Florida, California with Pebble Beach, all those spots. And obviously there's some great spots in the Northeast. But whenever you have a major championship, it has to be a pretty special course if you're going to bring in the world's best to Tulsa, Oklahoma. And nothing against Oklahoma, but it's just, once again, you're more likely to be thinking about college football than you are, professional golf. So it's a pretty great spot. Obviously, it's played the PGA Championship there since way back, like 1970, I think was the first one there. And the course is exactly what you would think. It's picturesque. It's made for the guys who can hit those dramatic, shots into greens with a lot riding on the line. The course sets up in a specific way where it's going to feel like the old classic ways of major setups, but I believe it did get renovated, not too long ago. And with the way guys are hitting nowadays, I mean, even a lot has changed even in those 15, 16 years since we've been there. The technology and the strength of these young players, I'm really, really curious to see, how they're able to take such a historic venue and modernize it for the length and power of today's big hitters. So really curious to see how they'll approach the course. And obviously there's some great players out there right now that are all going to be gunning, like big names that are starting to heat up this season, and right in time as they all chase the FedEx Cup.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I'm looking ahead here. Obviously, the big name of the moment now is Scottie Scheffler having a ridiculous season. He won the Masters pretty much running away in April here. So you think Scottie Scheffler can build on his run there and make a run here and keep his dream alive of the calendar year Grand Slam?
Yeah, and to be perfectly honest, I have a really hard time picking against Scottie Scheffler right now. He has found something in his game, and more so than just the way he's driving the ball off the tee, which is so consistent. And, putting is the hardest thing to keep consistent. You've seen guys that have incredible driving accuracy and length seasons, pinpoint with their irons. But putting is the thing that on a week-to-week basis, you can drive it great, but if you're not getting it in the hole, it doesn't matter. But putting on the PGA Tour is what really, really matters. And his putter has just been incredible. So he gives himself, most golfers struggle to score. It's because they're not getting home in a maximum of 2 putts. But you got to be able to make those 10 to 15 footers. And it seems like all of them are going for him right now. So can't pick against Scottie Scheffler. And once again, just what he's done this year, even outside the Masters, has been just an incredible run. And couldn't speak even more highly of Scottie Scheffler as a person and family. And I'm very fortunate to have spent a lot of time with the Schefflers personally. And it is really cool to see their family now take this next step as he becomes a genuine star in the game of golf.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned him before, but Tiger Woods obviously won the PGA the last time he was here. He's only played one event this year so far. He returned at the Masters. He actually made the cut, played all 4 rounds. He's in the final field here as of right now. Like, I know we're not expecting him to win, but like, what would you say would be a successful weekend for Tiger here?
Yeah, really interesting. I think the last time I came on, I think I said something like, and we can go back to the tape on this, but I'm pretty sure I said Tiger would. It was unlikely that he was going to play, but if he did play, I saw him making the cut and then not really finishing particularly high. So I'm pretty sure I kind of won that one. If we go back to the old recording, he did exactly that. He played through. He had some good moments. He had some bad moments. Tiger strikes me as somebody who said, okay, I just showed that I can still play with these guys. I'm going to grind it out. I bet he's been out practicing almost every single day. I think that this course sets up very nicely for him. He obviously, won it at a time when he was absolutely dominating golf, but also had just come back from injury. So I'm curious. My gut's telling me that he will be in the mix after the first 2 days, and I could see maybe a top 25 finish for him. I just don't think right now he's played enough competitive rounds to win this thing. But man, wouldn't that be fun if it came down to Rory, Justin Thomas, Scottie Scheffler, and Tiger like that? What a fun final grouping that would be if we had some big names there coming down the stretch. Lots of different styles, lots of different momentum and experience. But those are some of the names to watch for sure. So I'm on the Tiger's going to play well, but not win train.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking right now. We're recording on May the 11th. I'm looking at CBS Sportsline, some of their odds right now. They have John Rahm as the favorite right now. Scheffler and Roy are right behind. So who would you say are some of these other top contenders here? Would you add those guys, a couple other ones?
Yeah, why not Jordan Spieth? Obviously, people know the name Jordan Spieth, but he has quietly had an excellent year, and he's got that major pedigree as well. I think that he's somebody who maybe people are overlooking a little bit right now, which is I'm just, why not Jordan Spieth? Why not have him? He has the game to do it as long as he can putt and be accurate off the tee. His iron game is obviously elite. So I think it's been, an excellent spot for him. I mean, if you look at just where he's at on the season right now, he's done an excellent job of giving himself a chance. He's obviously, looking right now, I believe he's got, he finished second at Pebble Beach. He's got obviously the win with Heritage. So he's had quietly right now. I mean, people don't process because he hasn't been the marquee name. He's got 4 top 25 this year, a win and a second place. He's 14th in the FedEx Cup standing. So, why not Jordan Spieth? Let's go that route. Some of the other names that I just genuinely like, regardless of, they kind of fit into maybe the next segment a little bit more on the sleepers, but Joaquin Nieman, it feels like every time there's a major, he's immediately at the top of the leaderboard. Now, whether he can hang in there or not, it's always a good question. But man, one of these times, he goes 4 under, 5 under after day one. He's just one of those names that's always up there after the first and second round. So I think you got to, keep an eye on him. Another guy that, everybody loves and was rooting for last year at the Masters is Will Zalatoris. I still think that this course, if he has the ability to put the ball in good spots off the tee, his irons are obviously just amazing to watch, and his approach shots to the green. Putting hasn't been 100% on at an elite level right now, but he's another guy that I really like. Matt Fitzpatrick has had an excellent year, but somebody that's really surprising to me, isn't higher right now. It's Sam Burns. Sam Burns is, once again, not necessarily a marquee name, but he has a win this year as well. I think that, he's not known as one of the, elite long drivers, but, I think people forget too. I'm sorry. He actually has 2 wins this year. He won Sanderson Farms in the wraparound season. He won Sanderson Farms and Valspar, which he was back-to-back champions on. He finished second at Zurich Classic this year. He's got 6 top 10s on the season, yet he's going out at, I think, plus 4,000, something like that. So he's pretty far down the list. And yet, he's second in the FedEx Cup right now and 10th in the official world golf ranking. So, if we're gonna dive into the sleepers, I mean, Sam Burns is a name that you have to circle. So that's those are some of the guys that I'd keep an eye on, and obviously Colin Morikawa has had a ton of success at the PGA Championship, regardless of the venue. Koepka is obviously a name that if he's in the field and he's healthy, anytime that there's a PGA or a U.S. Open, Brooks Koepka is a guy too. So, Rory's an interesting take on this one. Rory's game is coming together right now, and I would put it on the line that Rory is going to win a tournament this year. From this point forward, I don't know if it's this one. I just think that with the way Scheffler's playing right now, it's Scheffler and Rahm versus everybody else. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like some fun. Obviously, all the interesting things here, obviously, is like you always look for some sleepers. You kind of mentioned a couple already. Who are guys who don't get much attention you feel like could make some noise here?
Yeah, and we touched on a couple of them, but definitely Daniel Berger as well. People obviously know how he played amazing all last season in the FedEx Cup. He had multiple wins and has had just an absolute fantastic young career. And it's hard to call Morikawa or Justin Thomas a sleeper, so I'll go a little bit further down the list in terms of purely just odds. So some names that are really interesting that are kind of further down the list is Jason Day. Jason Day is going out at 65 plus 6,500. He obviously was leading not too recently. He was leading recently. Obviously has played some pretty good golf this season. I would say Keegan Bradley. Keegan Bradley is kind of deep down the odds list. They've got him at plus 8,000 right now. Keegan's been at the top of the leaderboard at least 4 or 5 times this year, and he has been in the mix. I know it's kind of a funky. He was in the final grouping last week, and there's just so much about his game that when he is on, he can really play. I like Max Homa as well. Max Homa's going out at plus 10,000, and yet he won last week, beating out Keegan Bradley. So, there's a lot of interesting names that are pretty far down this list in terms of pure odds makers. And, I really am kind of surprised by some of these. You would think that Homa, maybe because it's purely just because it's a major. Even guys like Kevin Kisner, who play excellent, I would consider him a sleeper. Harry Higgs, you can't look away from guys that historically have played well in majors before as well, like Lucas Glover. So some of the names, if I was purely just going to pick 2 sleepers based off of the odds list, I would definitely go with Max Homa and Keegan Bradley. Those would be my 2 sleepers.
All right, that's gonna be fun for sure. Definitely have those written down here. In terms of like best bets here, like who strikes you on the list here based like, oh, this is like good value for like where they are, like they're maybe being undervalued by the odds makers.
Sure. So some of the better, the good odds right there. I look at Tony Finau at plus 3,500. Daniel Berger, who we touched on earlier, at 3,500. Xander Schauffele at plus 2,200. Cam Smith, why not? Right? I mean, he just won basically the biggest tournament of the year at the Players Championship. So Cam Smith at plus 2,000. Some of the other names that I like just based off of the course itself. I like Siwoo Kim at plus 8,000. That's about where I would put it. But once again, I think they said that when there was what was it? So Phil was over the age of 50 when he won it last year, or right around 50. And somebody that is kind of an interesting name, I'm trying to see where he is down the list here. I don't even know if they've got him on here, but like, keep an eye on, some of the more veteran players that don't have to hit the ball as far, but they're a little bit older. I would keep an eye on like the Stuart Finks of the world. I don't see where his odds are, but he pops up every now and then. Matt Kuchar, same thing. Those kinds of players. Webb Simpson's not old, but he has definitely been around for a while, and Webb Simpson's going at plus 4,000. So keep an eye on him too. Everybody's, fan favorite, Victor Hovland, is at plus 2,000. He's still such obviously a hot or cold type player. He's very similar to Rory. When he's on, he's unstoppable, but it takes a little bit of time for him to get going. So, there's a lot of good names on here. Even last year's FedEx Cup winner, Patrick Cantlay, at plus 1,800. To be perfectly honest, there's so many top players who have played extremely well. If you're going purely based off of the value pick, I think you can get away with anybody that's in the plus 4,000 to plus 8,000 range, and take a look at where they're at, where their game is at, and kind of go from there.
Absolutely. My last question here is obviously, we always kind of put out a winner pick here. Like, are you going with Scheffler, or is there somebody else who you feel like has a chance to upstage him here?
Yeah, it's really tough. There's a strong part of me here that wants to take Scheffler, just because he's the safest pick, and I think that this style of golf, it really suits him. Apparently there were some rumblings of him going out and playing around out there, and he absolutely tore up the course. So he is my pick. But the guy that I am if I was actually betting on this, that I really think if he gets off to a good first round, could be an interesting player down the stretch as well. If he's hovering on Saturday and Sunday, it's Sam Burns.
Absolutely, Dan. Thanks for all the time. I really appreciate it. Before I let you go, how can you follow social media and keep up with some of the stuff you're doing?
Yeah, obviously there's a lot of fun NFL conversations going on. My Grizzlies are falling apart a little bit here against the Warriors. I feel like it's so classic that the Grizzlies finally get into the, I guess we'll call them the conference semifinals here, and they have to go up against the Warriors. And I'm not convinced that the Warriors are going to win the NBA Finals, but of course they have to play some of their best basketball against us in the year when they decide to be part of this. We hit you, you hit us, and it's taking away from the quality of the game to watch them. So I've been very active on Twitter with my opinions about this whole, intentionally hurting one another to try to take a star out of the game. And once again, it started with Draymond, in game one, slapping Brandon Clark in the face when he clearly wasn't going for the ball, and then you retaliate. So it's been frustrating. So if they want to join the conversation about, NBA physicality, and I'm old school. I love it when it's physical and not everybody's high-fiving each other after the game. But some of this is really taking away from the fun of high-scoring offenses and young talent. So I'm at DMart207 on Twitter, and happy to enjoy a great stretch of golf. Obviously, Byron Nelson, the Memorial Tournament, which is always beautiful to watch, out at Muirfield Village is coming up, and that kind of Midwest, Northeast, all those courses that it's just finally getting to the perfect time where the grass is super, super green, and the weather is perfect up there. I'll be traveling to the Korn Ferry Tour event in Maine and in June, which is going to be an excellent venue as well. So it's just really cool to see some of these other courses, because I feel like I've just been in sweltering Florida for months and months, and everybody else has been stuck inside. So it's an exciting time to watch some other kinds of golf from around the country, and I hope everybody can tune in.
Absolutely, Dan. Thanks for all the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.